Customers say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is 287 back in the virtual nerd basement. Guys, it is a beautiful Tuesday night here in the Detroit area. It was finally after about a week of sweltering hot temperatures in the high 80s to mid 90s.
I felt like I was in Florida.
Oh, man. It was not only was it hot, the humidity was through the roof, man. It was crazy. We had a couple of days of rain there that kind of helped kind of even things out. And today was absolutely gorgeous. It got into the low 80s, but the temperature was, or the humidity was nice. It wasn't bad at work. I could actually think and produce. So that was nice. Overall, not bad at all. Chris, what was your weekend like?
It was good. Hey, CD, there's your double.
Hey,
I
should pull that up.
My weekend was good. We had our game on Friday.
We did,
which was a blast. You guys got a shit ton of information.
Yes, we also introduced a new catchphrase for Octavian, exclamation. Because Richie wasn't there, and I got to play Octavian, and it's been a while since I played a cleric. In fact, I have not yet played a cleric in 5th edition. So, but I did play a cleric in Pathfinder for 6 years. So, and I played clerics in 3rd edition too several times. So, it was fun, and yeah, Octavian has a new catchphrase. By the shining scrotum of Palor, or by Palor's shining scrotum.
Yeah, that was that one. It was the second one there.
By Palor's shining scrotum.
Yeah, that was. I'm sure I haven't heard Rich comment on that yet.
I don't know if Rich has actually seen the episode yet, so we shall see.
Yeah, I mean it's no core blimey, but
it's no core blimey. It is no core blimey.
But anyway, yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun. I am still very interested in seeing what you guys are going to do next. You actually did make it back to Greyhawk, and you're talking. Did. I think where we left it, you were talking about going to talk to the temples and let them know what was going on.
Right, we're gonna go. That's where we ended it, basically right before we decided to go to the temples and kind of double check with everybody.
Yeah.
Talk to, excuse me, God, mother, it was a long day. We got to, we're going to talk to the Temple of Herodias and the Temple of Palor and kind of like, check in with them, see what's up. And then go to probably the library, because we still have to do that. Go to the library and look up some information, basically.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do some research, basically.
Yep. So there was that Saturday. The English Premier League started, so I got to go see the Chelsea Blues win their game.
Yes, the footballs.
Yep, against Everton. Went up to Royal Oak Brewing and watched the game with the supporters group, which was fun. Hadn't seen a lot of them since the end of the season.
Right.
So that was good. Sunday was kind of quiet, sat around, actually got back to painting a little bit. Started painting one of my figs that's been sitting around for a while. Also opened up my new printer over the weekend.
Right. You have a new printer, which is a new 3D printer, which from what I've seen so far it's fucking spectacular. I mean, it looks really cool.
Oh yeah, the print that I've done the test prints, got everything leveled, and then I did one print so far. And yeah, that it turned out fantastic. I'll actually post it in the Discord chat. For those in there to see it. So remember, if you're a subscriber, you get to see those. Right. But yeah, turns out great. I can't wait to paint it now. I'm going to paint it and then put it together because there's a lot of places that would be really hard to paint if it was all put together first. So
I don't doubt. I do not doubt that at all.
And then other than that, it's been work. I actually have kind of a quiet week this week in that I don't have a whole lot going on. I've got a bye on golf tomorrow, nothing going on Thursday, and no game on Friday. So the next thing I've got is after this is Saturday. I've got my my other D&D game, not the one I run, but the one that I play in, where I am playing a cleric.
Right on. I had a lot of fun, actually. I mean, I think I would have liked to have gotten a little more into exactly the ins and outs of Octavian's kind of character. I should have probably done a little more research on his on his spells and powers, but it was cool.
But you guys only had one fight, so
we had one fight. It really wasn't. Yeah, there wasn't a ton of stuff,
where Euchariah turned the giant into a turtle.
Yes, turned it into a turtle, and it was one of those situations. It's funny. It's one of the tough things about being a up close and personal combat character is that quite often, by the time Marikaris gets into the thick of things, somebody with a spell or a bow has already taken out his opponent. Sometimes they just soften them up for him, which is nice too. But
which was the case once you actually fought this thing.
Yes, I think did I actually hit it? I think I did hit it once, the first time, and then Euchariah did turtle damage,
turtle power,
and yeah. Well, there was a story Sean Nicolin told years ago about, it's like, how much damage did you do? Did fish damage, because he had cast a polymorph spell on a monster and turned him into a fish. And he said, "What damage? How much damage? Fish." That's how much he did. And I think it was back in like the polymorph, or in the third edition days when I think if you polymorphed somebody and then you did damage to them, I mean, they didn't just pop back up. They did change, but they took the full amount of damage. So you could turn them into a fish, do 80 points of damage to them, and they might change back, but they're about 80 points less, because there's no defense, there's no missing and shit.
CD, I was actually a Leonardo fan.
I was as well. I always dug Leonardo.
Yeah.
I liked the katana.
That's kind of what it was for me, the katanas. So anyway, how was your week?
Oh, work, lots of work. I did the game on Friday. I was supposed to do a body paint on Saturday, and then I canceled it because I got some work doing my sideline, but then the sideline also canceled, and I was like, well, I'm not going to try and try and get Russ to free up. I'm not going to try and get it back, So I just kind of had, son of a bitch. I just kind of had a kind of a chill weekend, Probably should have done more, but I got I'm going to be doing a lot coming up in the upcoming weekends. I have a body paint for Midwest Photography Institute, MPI, whatever it is, workshops, MPW, coming up on this Sunday. And this is weird because this weekend coming up would normally be the weekend before Ren Fair for me. So there'd be a lot of prepping. But my friend Linda will be coming into town. She'll be here for about a month. She's the mermaid, and I'm sure I'll probably spend some time up at festival just helping her get things squared away on Saturday. And but yeah, it was just I don't know, just a lot of work. Nothing too nutty, as far as I can remember. It's all a blur, brother. It's all a blur.
All right, well then, what you drinking?
Tonight, I am drinking something that I have drank before because I had it in my refrigerator. I'm having another Passion Seeker from Blake's. It's a lovely drink. It is their pineapple, passion fruit, and guava hard cider. It's lovely. I do think as these drinks go, this is a good one. It tastes a lot like a fruit cocktail to me. Like the juice from a fruit cocktail, just less syrupy because that's just syrup, honestly.
That's one I haven't had.
You haven't had the Passion Seeker yet?
No.
It's nice. It's got
Belmont's pissed. That's why
it's a lot talking. It is pineapple forward, but the guava and the passion fruit kind of balance it. It's still very sweet, so I like it. I do like it. So I would definitely recommend this Passion Seeker. It's a newer flavor. It's this summer, one of this summer's new flavors from Blake's. Check it out. That's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking?
I am just pouring right now. What I'm drinking because it's kind of angry. It looks like I don't know if it was continuing to ferment or what, but it definitely foamed up on me. That's a pretty thick head. This is one that Peter Rich brought over. I don't know which one. I think it's Rich because he was down in Memphis. This is New Ballet's Nut Remix. I am Memphis made. And that's the can right there. It's kind of plain. Got a ballet dancer on it. November 20th and 21st, newballet.org. New Ballet Ensemble and School. It's the Memphis Made Brewing Company. That's actually the name of it. This is 5.4% ABV. I'm guessing it's a nut brown by the name, Nut Remix. By the color, I would say yes, that's probably the case. It is a brown. It has an interesting aroma. I'll give it a little sip here. This is my actual first taste. Okay. Not a bad brown. It's pretty smooth. I don't get a lot of nut flavor, so I'm not sure what the nut remix is, but it definitely has the roasted notes of a brown. So it's but yeah, it's pretty good. I'd give it probably 3.25 bottle caps.
Okay.
It's not bad. The aroma is weird though. It almost has like a chemical aroma. Excuse me. And it definitely has some carbonation because it just made me burp twice.
Well, all right.
But yeah, it mostly just tastes like a brown. But yeah, it's pretty good. I guess there is a little bit of a nutty flavor there, on the end, but it's not overpowering at all. A lot of the nut browns I've had have a really strong nut brown flavor or nut flavor in it, and I don't really care for that a whole lot. But yeah, so let's see, 7% Neon Beer Hug from Goose Island, pretty good IPA from CD, and Renee is trying the Black Cherry Vernors that she just picked up today, which I personally cannot wait to try. The first new Vernors flavor in
black cherry Vernors?
Yeah, it's like the first new Vernors flavor in like 40 years or something like that.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Vernors is the only real ginger ale, for those that are wondering.
Well, it's the best ginger soda. It's not a ginger ale. It's a ginger soda.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's a ginger soda. There's a difference. Ginger ale is like, there's ginger ale and there's ginger soda.
And there's ginger beer.
And there's ginger beer. I hate to correct you there, my brother, but it's true. It's a ginger. It even says on the, I think it even says on the label, it's a ginger soda.
Let's see. No, it's Vernors Ginger Ale.
Oh man, okay, then I might be mistaken, but I was.
But I thought I'm like it's
is Vernors
Ginger Ale was first served to the public in 1866.
Man, I could have swore maybe it's. Oh, is Vernors ginger soda the same as ginger ale? Let's see. Obviously, this is a question people ask. The venerated ginger Vernors ginger. Sorry. Okay, all right. So apparently, it started off. They called it a ginger soda, and that's the dubious history and great flavor of Vernors ginger ale. All right, this is way too much of an article to read now.
All that really matters is that it cures everything.
It does. It does.
You're sick? Have some ginger. Have some Vernors.
1865.
Yep. Well, this says that the Detroit Historical Society says that it was first served to the public in 1866.
All right. I'm going to look into this because now I'm curious. Because Vernors is a Michigan original.
Yes, it is.
It was started here in Detroit, not just Michigan, but in Detroit. If I remember.
They show it being barrel aged in these pictures. That's actually kind of cool. I'm gonna have to look at that later. Anyway, I do want to try it. It is I guess the black cherry is exclusively in Michigan, from what CD just said. So, is it worth $15?
The first cola syrup showed up around 1881, with Coca-Cola entering the market in 1886. A dozen years later, Pepsi made its debut.
Mm-hmm.
While the following year, glass bottle manufacturing became standardized and became the container of choice for the next 60 years until aluminum cans were invented. These were heady times.
So Renee said the cans do say ginger soda, but it is considered Vernors ginger ale.
So we're both right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
So moving on though, some sad news yesterday.
Oh man.
The passing of an icon and one of my very first crushes. Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
Passed away at 73. I was really sad to hear that. Growing up, I loved Grease. Never actually watched Xanadu. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never actually seen it. It's on my list.
Wait a minute, you've never seen Grease?
No, never saw Xanadu.
Oh, Xanadu. Okay, yeah.
I've heard the songs from it. Grease, I've seen it. Dude, I can quote Grease from start to finish.
I mean, we grew up. It was that Grease was on every year on network television at least once.
And I would watch it every time because I loved it. And
every time.
I just thought Olivia Newton-John was just beautiful. And
it was one of my mother's favorites. Once we got a VCR, it was a regular rental. My mom, I think, eventually did buy it too, because that's the thing. You couldn't really buy tapes right away. And then when Grease 2 came out, my sisters
Michelle Pfeiffer in that one.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Grease 2 came out. My sisters adored it, and we rented, and that was again rented a lot. I've seen Grease 2 far too many times, considering how kind of shitty of a movie that is.
Yeah, I've seen it a few, but I haven't seen it nearly as much as Grease.
Yeah. But Grease is a classic. And interestingly enough, if you watch the play, it's definitely dirtier. Like the movie's problematic, and the movie's got some dirty points and some shit that we are like, because just certain lyrics in some of the songs, you know, and you're like, holy shit, dude, it's a little rapey.
Well, even Grease Lightning is the song
yeah.
Grease Lightning. I mean,
yeah,
she's a real pussy wagon is one of the lines.
Or the line in Summer Lovin', you know, there's definitely several lines in that's like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah,
but at the same time,
he's insinuating that he slept with her, and
right. And she's insinuating that they just had a very chaste relationship, you know. It was probably somewhere in the middle. And the guys are all like, you know, what's the line, you know, we got down in the sand, and there's like, you know, god damn, there's some really kind of fucking rough ones, but people just kind of overlooked that because it was the era. You know, not only was that movie made in the 70s, it's depicting characters from like the 50s.
Yep.
So, you know, times they were different back then. But anyway,
and then her music video Physical.
Oh yeah.
Created a whole fashion trend.
Oh, for sure. That song was a massive success. It's huge. I mean, Olivia Newton-John was one of the biggest stars of the 80s.
No, not really. Of the early 80s. She didn't really do much after Physical.
Right. Well, the 70s and 80s. I mean, a lot of the 70s, because I mean, she kind of burst out. Yeah. And she was particularly coming out of Australia.
Well, right. She had a couple of hit songs, and then she tried out for Sandy in Grease, and she wasn't sure she could do an American accent, but the directors and producers wanted her so badly for it because she was so good and so perfect for the part. She was also 29 and thought she was too old for it.
Was she 29?
Yeah, she was 29 when she did that. And she but they wanted her so bad they actually changed the character and the script to make her from Australia.
Yeah, because in the play she's not from Australia. No. Let's see. Her last credit was from 2020 with the very excellent Mr. Dundee, which was a Paul Hogan movie. Let's see. I think she had her own show for a while too. Yeah, because she kind of started. I think she started off as a recording artist.
She was a singer
in Australia. Yeah, she was a singer. And so yeah, a lot of her early things are like music videos from the mid 70s, 77, and then she did Grease in 78, and a lot more music videos. And then she did Xanadu in 1980. Now Xanadu is one of those movies where it's very much kind of a product of its era. 1980, very kind of, you know, fantasy
considered
romance.
A cult classic now.
It is considered a cult classic. I recommend people seeing it because it is really something else. It's but it's not great. And
she's a muse.
She's a muse.
A roller skating muse at that.
A roller skating muse. And yeah, she plays a muse. And then she's in, you know, she does a bunch of more music videos, just music video after music video, because she did a lot like Heart Attack, Landslide, Love Make Me Strong, Magic.
Well, Magic Physical. Comes from Xanadu.
Right. Have to believe your magic. Yeah. Twist of Fate.
Which that was in the movie she did with John Travolta.
No, that was Two of a Kind.
Or Two of a Kind, that's right.
Yeah. Two of a Kind. There's another film she did with John Travolta in 83. Which is it's a romantic comedy. Yeah, and it's kind of cute.
I remember seeing it. I saw it specifically because she was in it.
Right, exactly. Me too. And then much more videos. I mean, like she continued to record. On and on. She had an uncredited appearance in the movie She's Having a Baby. But yeah, just lots of music videos here, and she actually didn't really do a lot of acting over the years.
No,
and I just did not realize that.
They said pretty much after Xanadu, and then after the article I was reading, said that after physical, she pretty much kind of disappeared. She was still recording and stuff, but she didn't have any more hits, and she kind of just became a family, like a mom, and or not really a mom, because that wasn't. I think that was later, but she became a family person.
Yeah,
And
looks like looks like through the 90s she started doing like TV movies and shit. Mom for Christmas, like probably Hallmarky kind of things.
Yeah, but she
1990.
also came out saying that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer in '92. And she had been fighting that for the last 30 years. I mean, she fought it, but yeah, I mean, you never really stop fighting it.
Cancer is one of those things that goes into remission.
Yeah.
If you can be clear, and if it goes into remission and it's in remission long enough, then they will say you're cured, but you're still, you still got to keep an eye on it,
Yep.
See, a Christmas Romance in 94, another TV movie. Snowy River, the McGregor saga, where she was on like several episodes, I guess. Ned and Stacy, the TV series, where she played herself. It's My Party, Lena Bingham.
Yep. So, but yeah, so I'm 73. While it is an elderly age, it is still way too young in this day and age.
I will say, I said it the other day. It was like a shame, but not a tragedy.
If I only make it 73, I'm gonna be pissed.
I would be mad. I would like.
That means I only got like 21 years left, and
right. I would like to see 75 at the least.
I mean, I want the 100, man. I want
the ones that you want to make.
I want the century mark.
You want the triples, huh?
Yep.
You want them triple dig?
Shit, I'll live forever, man. If they give me the chance.
My grandfather is 92 and he's looking sad. So I mean, granted, if we take care of ourselves, and my grandfather, are is part of the greatest generation. So, he's actually at that border. He was one of those guys that kind of fell in between. He was too young to serve to go to World War II, so he went to Korea. So, he would have been that the younger part of the greatest generation, because he's definitely not a boomer.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he's looking rough. It just depends on how you take care of yourself,
Yep.
And what happens, what you're doing. But I wouldn't mind hitting that 100, but I want to make it at least 75. Beer will preserve you. You're gonna be pickled.
That's right. I'm pickled. That's what I'm doing. I'm pickling myself.
So to one of the early crushes of our generation,
yep. and actually a very talented artist too. I actually really like a lot of her music. She had a beautiful voice. She did.
It was a very specific, poppy music, post disco, early pop.
Yeah, Xanadu's very disco.
Xanadu's very disco, yeah. But because it came out in 1980, and they considered like 1980 one of the last years of disco.
Yep.
So anyway,
and all I can picture is her flying away into the sky in the car from Greece.
From Greece.
Yep. So
to Xanadu and to
yep.
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John. And thank you, CD, for the pour some bits to the homegirl. His CD just gave us 100 bits.
Hey, that's great, man. Thank you.
He just did 100 bit cheer. Thanks a lot, man. So that said, let's talk about a little bit more about some recent events too.
How about some funny shit?
Yeah.
How about some funny shit? This shit was funny.
So the other night, Donald Trump's estate his resort in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, was raided by the FBI.
Yes.
Yes. And I just have one thing to say to that.
It's about damn time.
You may not have heard it, but I just did the Nelson haha.
I didn't hear it. No, I didn't.
But yeah, I guess it's not as big a deal as all that. It's not like they're going in there looking for things from January 6th or anything like that. This is him. They were going in. This is part of an investigation of him mishandling presidential documents.
Right. Well, they apparently, I mean, when he left, they left with boxes.
Yeah.
And they took it to Mar-a-Lago, which you're not supposed to do.
Right.
You can't do that shit. Those are presidential and governmental documents that you can't just take with you when you go. And so, yeah, so they were looking for, he's even been told, he's like, Mr. President, you can't do that. You have to return. So they started, they went after him.
I guess they left with a lot of boxes.
Yep. That's what I heard.
Trump wasn't there. There is a skeleton crew of Secret Service that are there. Mm-hmm. And the FBI did contact the Secret Service to say, hey, we're doing this. And the Secret Service basically went, okay, meet us at this entrance. We'll let you in. Yeah. Because they had a warrant.
Right. It was legal. It was all legal. Now, the Governor DeSantis, and I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, both jumped up.
Oh, of course. Two of the biggest flaming piles of garbage on this planet.
Garbage. And they both jumped up. I mean, DeSantis called this the worst example of weaponizing the federal law enforcement agencies.
Yep.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene
is basically what's his name? The guy from the Republican minority leader in the House, McCarthy, was saying the same thing.
Right, and they were saying that, of course they are, because their buddy, the guy that they're for whatever reason still supporting, they went to his home. This is the first time this has ever happened to an ex-president. I mean, it's also the first time that an ex-president has ever been called out on the carpet like this too. But they're finding more and more stuff. Apparently, there's rumors saying that Trump that they were tried to rip up and flush documents.
He tried doing that in the White House.
Yeah.
Trump was one that he always tried to get rid of anything, and he tried flushing documents in the White House. And they have the high efficiency toilets in the White House.
Right.
So they don't have that whoosh power. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a gurgle.
Right.
And so he actually clogged it, and they had to call in the plumbers, and they're like,
that's right,
Mr. President, you can't be putting documents down the toilet.
Unbelievable. But my buddy at work. Hey, Dutchie. My buddy at work, we're talking about, you caught us talking about, okay, that's right, you're the same. I'm just super excited that this happened. The fact that they're getting him. They went into his safe, apparently.
They broke open a safe, yeah.
Broke open his safe. They're going after him, and I mean, it sounds to me, now they're not, like, it was funny, like I mentioned it to Stella, and she goes, and Stella's like, well, what did they find? They go, they're not going to tell us yet, but eventually it's going to out, and they're going to find some shit there. My buddy at work, Shadow, was telling me he listens to a podcast that goes into all of the details of the hearings, and is really picking things apart and saying things like, they're finding all kinds of evidence of that showing that Donald Trump had a lot of control over what was going on January 6th. That there was he was involved with a lot of the planning stages, things
we'll
like
get
that.
To some of that in a little bit too, with the other funny story that we have.
Yeah.
From the recent news. But yes, I guess, part of the reason that they did this, and yes, I agree, CD, he's probably going to declare these running real soon, and that to try and get them to stop looking at him, because then it'll look like a political witch hunt. But there's a whole thing about not doing anything to a political person within 90 days of an election to keep any semblance of it being political out of the thoughts, I guess.
Right.
So
we're still 2 years away.
No, they're saying, but there's a midterm coming.
Oh, okay.
And he's a big spokesperson for it. So They said it was 91 or 92 days until the midterm election when they did this, which is probably why they chose that time to do it, so that they didn't wait until after the 90 days.
Well, all I know is it's a goddamn mess, and it does, and Dutch is right. It does. It sends a message that they are serious.
Yeah,
that they're not kidding around about this sedition stuff, because it was seditious activity.
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out, is if it was.
Right.
What types of materials he had. Now, they did say some of it was marked top secret when they investigated before, because they actually saw that he had a bunch of things in Mar-a-Lago and didn't have them secured correctly. And then some of his aides, this was back when he was president, and they said, you have to secure it better. And so they put a padlock on the door. And it was stored in the basement at Mar-a-Lago.
A padlock.
Yep.
A padlock that anybody could cut with some bolt cutters.
Yeah, or smash with a hammer, or
Unfucking-believable. You know what? The other thing, though, that besides this, I mean, it is something I truly believe we're going to see some fallout, and I hope that, I mean, old Donnie there, he needs to be catching some of this shit. Now, the other thing is, though, too, is if he is to run again, I mean, he's going to be one of the oldest presidents, sitting presidents, if he were to win. And,
well, it's the same thing with
up
Biden,
there with Biden
too.
Yeah. Well, I feel Biden was too old too, but
yeah,
you know, that was the idea.
Nothing but McDonald's receipts. That's all that's in those boxes.
That's gonna kill him. That's for sure. But anyway, the other thing that happened this week or the other day that was epic was the stuff that went down with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
So now Alex was one of these people that, of course, he had started his InfoWars radio broadcast and internet thing
and podcast and
podcast.
video. It was a video show too. It was on.
Yeah.
It actually was on like OAN, I think, was the which is a crazy fucking
hyper conservative, right wing whack job conspiracy theorist. Now he had, you know, he was talking. He was just one of these like loudmouths that people were like, you know, some people paid attention to, other people didn't. Kind of like Rush Limbaugh. You know, Rush Limbaugh was another one of those.
He's another hate monger that just that's what he did. Was he's
going to get Mexico to pay. He's going to get Mexico to pay for the burgers. You're right, Dutch. Yeah, shaking his head when that mom took him to task, respectfully. Yeah, yes, he's human garbage. But yes. You were saying, Chris?
No, I don't know. What did I say?
He was this talking.
He's a hate monger. That's what it was.
He was a hate monger. You know, he would do, and then, but when Sandy Hook happened, he got it in his head that he believed it was all a government setup. That apparently
actors.
There were actors. It was bullshit. That the kids didn't die. There was nothing. And he spread disinformation. He got people to believe him. And so he got sued by the parents.
Not only that, he got people to believe him who were then going to the parents' houses and harassing them.
The parents' houses, the teachers' houses, everybody that they felt were involved. Now, granted, Alex Jones also, thankfully, after the age of COVID and whatnot, his show got pretty much deplatformed. He doesn't have any. He doesn't show it on any. Like YouTube won't carry it. I think if he does have a website, like he can't. I mean, nobody will even like continue to have his websites and shit, because he was spreading disinformation about COVID.
He's still out there in some places, though. In
some way, shape, or form. I think Twitter also removed him too. I mean, he was basically kicked off of all social media because he was spreading disinformation about COVID.
Because they said that he was. I just saw a piece on that because John Oliver talked about this a little bit too, and I guess he was still doing his show while he was on trial, and he was putting pictures of the judge up with fire burning around her. and things like that. And basically he was vaguely linking her to like child pornography or pedophilia or something like that.
Unfucking-believable. I mean, this guy is the biggest piece of shit. You know, the guy's apparently they're saying that he's worth upwards of $150 million because of his endorsements and the money he's made through his show and stuff like that. Because he yeah, and you're right, Dutch. He would appeal to the lowest common denominator, to people that are easily manipulated. You know, trying to get people to question reality and question. And it's one thing to question it. It's another thing to wholesale lie to people and just and profit from those lies. Yeah. I mean, I put him in the same category as televangelists.
Yeah. But if you want to see some really funny shit, look up the John Oliver stuff from this week where he talks about Alex Jones, because it's fucking hilarious. Because the judge smacks his ass down.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's one point he's like chewing, it looks like he's chewing gum, and she's like, you have to spit out your gum. He's like, I don't have gum. And he's like, I had a tooth removed. I was massaging the gum with my tongue. He's like, you want to see? And he starts opening up his mouth, and she's like, I do not want to see the inside of your mouth. I want you to tell me the truth. And then later on, you see him turn away from the judge and pop something into his mouth.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, well, that was the other thing too. Now, one of the big things that really kicked the shit out of him in this court case was the fact that his lawyer
fucked up.
They apparently uploaded in like a copy of his phone of everything that had been on
all
his
text
phone.
Messages for 2 years.
Yeah, and he had said that these text messages had not existed.
He couldn't find them on his phone. He couldn't see them.
Didn't know where they were.
But his lawyers sent them to the prosecutor accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutor then contacted the lawyers and said that he had gotten them. They did not say that they were privileged information. So he waited. He said it has now been 12 days, and these are legally entered into evidence.
Yep. Yeah, they did the right thing, you know? Amazingly, they did the right thing, and they were like, we warned you.
And one more time, just because I say...
I think he may plead that his lawyers were shit later on appeal, and that's the thing, though. Apparently, he did try to appeal it already because of what happened, and the judge threw it out. The judge threw out the appeal. Like, nope. And he was, I think he was either censured or he was fined for over $4 million for lying, for perjury. They were consistent. They were going to charge him for perjury because they were like, you said you didn't have these emails or text messages or whatever. Here they are. How is it that because I think he said that they didn't exist, that they were, I never texted that. I never made texts like that. And he did. And so then he was basically found guilty of slander or libel or whatever it was, of spreading the misinformation. And he was ordered to pay almost $50 million to the families of Sandy Hook.
And I heard that there's multiple lawsuits. He's still got like 3 more.
Yeah.
And each one of these is not whether or not he's guilty of doing this. It's how much is he going to pay. That's all they are.
Yeah. It's more like, it's more of a kind of a hearing, basically. Yeah. How much is he, now, from what I understand, he's also probably, people are saying that he's going to declare bankruptcy and all this other shit, which I don't think they're going to let him. Oh, yeah, you want to declare bankruptcy? Let's take a look at your assets, asshole. You know? And this guy is not so smart that he is going to be able to hide all of his assets. There's no fucking way. So, not from the IRS. Those motherfuckers will find it. So, this is one of those moments where I'm complete in support of the what's going on with them, you know, going in there and just tear the motherfucker, tear all of his money away, please. This guy is a screaming son of a bitch. And I loved the memes that existed from this guy's, from the face that he made when, when they were like, when they read the amounts and they read you're guilty and all this other shit. And he's just like, he's just like he's shocked. He's amazed that he didn't find him guilty, that they found him guilty. It's just like this wide-eyed, like, holy shit, I gotta pay how much,
Yeah, I've seen memes of that moment when you realize you just shit yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. So those were the biggest things, guys. The death of Olivia Newton-John. When I was a kid, I used to call her Olivia Fig Newton-John. It's not very creative and not very funny, but it was just something. And then of course Mar-a-Lago getting raided, and Alex Jones, man. We don't generally like to dwell too much on things like this, but it's just too damn important. We had to address it.
And funny.
Funny.
It's bad people getting their comeuppance. So and your reality is not the truth is one of the things the judge said. He said, I believe that, and she's like, your beliefs don't make it true.
Yep. He tried bankruptcy already and just went through, or going through divorce settlement too, so he needs to seal him up. Yep. All right. So unbelievable. We should move on though.
Yeah, let's talk some nerd shit. So
let's talk some nerd shit.
One of the things that has come up lately, and I've been seeing a ton of stuff about it, is the whole Batgirl movie thing, and this new CEO at Warner Discovery, who, in all honesty, the more I'm hearing about him, the more I don't like this guy. I think he is a piece of shit. He canceled Batgirl mostly because he's decided that, well, one, he said in a like a shareholders meeting or something that he was going to cut $3 billion, I think it was, in costs.
How the hell could he cut $3 billion? Holy shit.
Well, he's by canceling the Batgirl movie, he gets to write it off if they don't release it in any format.
So he's a money grubbing asshole.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. This is all money bullshit, and he has laid off a shitload of people, most of them at HBO. There are rumors that he's going to start slashing other things. They've canceled a bunch of shows already, one of which is Raised by Wolves.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard so many
good things about it. There's rumors that he's going to axe all of the DC shows like Titans, Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, all of which get huge critical acclaim and have big followings.
Yep. Titans is a big success, man. It's 4 seasons in, and it's a big success.
I think it's great. Titans is great. Yeah. I like Doom Patrol from what I've seen so far. I've only watched a few episodes, and Harley is just out of this world fucking funny and so far out there and cringeworthy sometimes, but
absolutely. Look at Young Justice, one of the best cartoons on right now. Truly, not just a good animated show, but a good show, well-written show.
So he's also said that there are not going to be any straight to HBO Max movies. So no HBO Max exclusive movies. It is either theatrical release or nothing. So there's a lot of projects that are out there that were supposed to be going straight to HBO Max that they're saying are now in jeopardy.
Correct.
The ones that I heard on the Nerdist that they're saying are definitely good are going to be Batman, Superman. The Flash is probably still going to go through, but they're saying it might get moved again.
Well, they're going to do a lot of damage control because of Ezra Miller.
Yeah. And
this guy just got charged again for breaking and entering from months ago.
Black Adam and Shazam are good just because their dates are coming so close.
Yeah.
Aquaman is probably still good just because it was such a blockbuster when the first one came out.
Correct.
They said some of the others are down the road are kind of iffy. Like
I did read that the Black Canary movie is still in the planning stages. That did not get cut
yet. but they haven't cut any of the others necessarily yet either. They haven't announced that they've cut a bunch of the ones either.
I think they
now,
did say they cut Blue Beetle.
No, Blue Beetle is
No?
still going because it's been changed from an HBO Max exclusive to a theatrical release.
Okay.
So they're still saying that might go through. Static Shock is probably not going to happen unless they can change it to a theatrical release. Black Canary is one that the Nerdist said is definitely on the edge of whether or not it's gonna go through. Gotham Sirens, they're not sure about, but they think it will go through just because Margot Robbie is a big enough pull.
Mm-hmm.
And that she is one of the most dynamic characters in the DC universe right now.
Right. Interestingly enough, they did announce the sequel to Joker earlier this week.
Which is also probably going to go through. And the guy basically went, and he just stood there and looked at the camera like, why?
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, the Joker movie was really good. It was definitely out of continuity, though. It was definitely its own thing. So for them to make a second one, it doesn't surprise me. They did say, though, that they are casting Harley Quinn, and it will be played by Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not mad at that, in that Lady Gaga is a hell of a performer and a hell of an actress. That being said,
we didn't need the Joker. We don't need the Joker too.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, and they're saying it's probably going to be a musical.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I'm not sure. But anyway, even though I'm not a big fan of Lady Gaga as a performer, as a musician, she's still a hell of a talent and will probably really fucking rock it. But still, this dude is making all kinds of a mess. And I will admit that the DC cinematic universe could certainly use more focus and could certainly use somebody at the rudder. But this is not the way to go about it.
Yeah. John Oliver, again, I just watched his show, but he's not one to shy away from talking out about the heads of his organization. And I mean, he used to bang on AT&T constantly.
Absolutely.
And he'd be like, "Hi, business daddy," and he'd flip him off. He's like, when he'd say shit. Well, he actually has his first crack at this guy in this week's show, and it's in the middle of a monkeypox thing where he's talking about it, and he talks about that, and he says, "I know it looks like you're trying to burn down our entire organization for the insurance money, but." So I mean, it's actually great. But anyway, one of the other things that I've seen and heard, this is all just rumors and speculation, though, is that this guy actually does want to destroy HBO. He doesn't want HBO. He wants to get rid of it, and he wants to start a Warner Brothers streaming service.
Right. Which I think is a big mistake. Yeah, Dutch, you're right. I mean, they need focus. They need more. They needed yes. Kevin Feige at the helm of DC.
They did.
And he's done wonders for Marvel. I mean, has he had some hits and misses? Sure, a couple of them recently are a little bit have been haven't been as good as they would have wanted, but still, I mean, they're still solid pieces of entertainment, and the shows have been pretty good. I mean, would I have liked Thor to have been a bit better? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have loved for Thor: Love and Thunder to be a little better, or to be a little more. I don't know. It wasn't quite as good as I would have liked it, but I thought Multiverse of Madness was amazing, and I think most of the shows that have come out have been just incredible. I can't wait for She-Hulk next week. I'm jazzed as all get out.
I'm looking forward to that.
So Feige has done a good job. Now all they need, DC needs somebody in the same fashion, the same manner.
So you got Feige for like
Hey,
Marvel.
Rowan's here too.
Yep. You got Feige for Marvel. You've got Filoni and Favreau keeping things on track for Star Wars.
Right.
So those two actually have their rudders, basically.
Right.
The ones keeping them on course. And That's what DC is lacking.
You know what? I'll do it. It's fine. I'll do it. I mean, they can just it's just my arm. Just twist my arm a little bit. Just give it a little twist. Give it. Come on, Chris. Give it a little. Come on, good. All right. I'll do it. I mean, there we go. I'll just Warner Brothers. I'll take 20 million. That's it. That's enough. And I'll write the ship for them. It'll be fine.
Now,
well, we talked about this a little bit beforehand about deciding, because you'd said he wants to pretty much destroy HBO Max and create a WB, a Warner Brothers streaming app.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. So one of the things that also came out was Kevin Smith actually talked about this on his Hollywood Babylon show.
Right.
And I've got some of the quotes here that are actually pretty good. He basically they were talking about basically all of it, and then all the DC projects. And then when talking about Batgirl, Smith said, "It's an incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie. I don't give a shit if the movie was absolute fucking dog shit. I guarantee you that it wasn't. The two directors, Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi, who directed the movie, did a couple of episodes of Ms. Marvel, and it was a wonderful fucking show, and they had more money to do Batgirl than they had to do an episode of Ms. Marvel and stuff."
Absolutely.
And then go on.
I'm also saying Brendan Fraser was great.
He uses the CW shows as an example. He says, "I love all the CW shows, but the CW shows show their budgetary constraints. They said Batgirl looked too cheap because it was a $90 million movie. How do you make a cheap-looking $90 million movie? If it looks slightly better than an episode of Arrow, then why couldn't we see that?"
Right, exactly.
And then he goes on to talk about how about they're shelving Batgirl, but they're still releasing The Flash with all the issues that Ezra Miller's having. He says, that is the baffling thing. I don't give a shit how bad the Batgirl movie is. Nobody in that movie is complicated or has anything in real life you have to market around. In the Flash movie, we all know there's a big problem. Flash is the reverse Flash in real life.
Yeah, no shit. Ezra Miller's a goddamn nightmare. And what they're going to have to do is they're just going to have to separate themselves from him. They'll release the movie as and they'll be like, "Hey, we made this movie. We're sorry the star is complicated. The star's a mess, but we made this movie and we want you to see it." And hopefully people will go to see it, whether, the guy's in jail or not, or in a loony bin. It sounds more like he's going to end up in a psychiatric ward. And it just is a bad idea. I mean, you got Brendan Fraser on this kind of career comeback. He's got this new movie he's got coming out called The Whale. They're saying it's an Oscar contender. They're saying he's amazing in it. And so he's in this movie as the villain. You got Michael Keaton come back as Batman again, because that's the thing. Michael Keaton was supposed to be playing an older Bruce Wayne in this film, and then he's supposed to also be in the Flash too. Yep. And so people were clamoring for this. They were excited about this. It was going to be amazing. And what do they do? And this guy decides to shit can I still can't understand how he can just shit can a $90 million film.
Well, and from what I'm hearing, it's a tax write-off.
I know, but still, holy shit, dude.
Yep. Wait for him to show that he's saving money. Now, there have been other reports that the movie is irredeemable and that it's just that bad. That's been a lot of the reports that are going on online. So,
sorry, Stella can't find her phone. Give me a second.
But that's what I'm hearing is that's some of the other stuff that's online right now. I don't know that. Test screenings were a disaster and the film was irredeemable. Are what people are saying. I can't see any movie being that bad, especially with some of the shit that DC has released.
Absolutely. We had that. I mean, is it worse than Green Lantern? Is
Yeah,
it
exactly.
worse? I mean,
They're saying that the Green Lantern, that the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie was so bad that it may cause problems for them releasing the Green Lantern Corps movie.
yeah, they did say that the Green Lantern TV show, the Green Lantern HBO Max show, is still moving forward as well. I did read that as well. So, but yeah, I mean, the Green Lantern movie was bad enough that it colored people's perceptions about Green Lantern for quite a while.
And Green
And
Lantern's one of my favorites. I love Green
personally,
Lantern.
I love Green Lantern. I've always loved Green Lantern. I think some of the things that the comics have done with Green Lantern over the last 20 years have been fucking just amazing, groundbreaking. The additional Lantern Corps and what they've done with Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner and Guy and John Stewart over the last, and then on top of it, Jessica Cruz and shit, I'm forgetting the other guy. It was actually the first Muslim American superhero for DC Comics because he's a Muslim American, Arab Muslim American.
Simon Baz.
Simon Baz. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah,
thank you.
That was Electric Ronan.
Thank you, Ronan. Appreciate that. Simon was from Dearborn too. They wrote him in that he was from Dearborn because Jeff Johns was writing the book at the time, and Jeff is from Detroit, is from Michigan. So I want to see this show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
But yeah, so $90 million for a tax write-off.
Unbelievable.
And we don't get what sounded like it could be a really cool movie.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe they'll see reason, and eventually, maybe the movie will get released because the guy is getting some pretty bad press for it.
He is, and I'm hoping that this is going to, I mean, I don't think it's going to get him fired right away, but
probably not.
I mean, come on, Kathleen Kennedy's still fucking in charge of Star Wars, and fans hate her.
Very true. So,
oh yes, they also scrapped the Scooby-Doo movie. Yeah,
the Scoob.
Yeah,
whatever it was. Hang on, Stella, I'll help you find it later. She can't find her phone.
Okay.
We should probably move on. A couple other things. I mean, it's getting we're a little we're about 10 after. Bunch of stuff. Let's see, I got some quick hits here. The Sandman came out last week.
Yes. I have not started watching it yet.
I haven't started watching it either, but I've heard a bunch of really awesome shit about it, that it is beautiful, it's amazing, it's gorgeous, it's incredible. I've also heard that it is just next level awesome, that the acting is incredible, that they've my friend at work, Shadow, he binged the whole thing over like 2 days. He watched 8 episodes at one sitting. He just couldn't couldn't put it down. And Shadow was saying that they did advance like the design and like the costuming a bit to where it was more modern day, since the book was written in the mid 80s through the 80s into the 90s. And so instead of the Sandman looking like he's, should be singing lead in The Cure or Depeche Mode, he is, it's just got a little more updated and whatnot, but he still looks like the Sandman. He still looks emo. Yeah, very much. He said that they said the performances of all the other characters were awesome. That Constantine, they changed John Constantine to Joanna Constantine.
I heard that.
And that it was that she is amazing as it too. I don't know why they did a gender swap, but apparently nobody cares. I mean, she's amazing in this character. Let's see. Yeah, if she's
as good as the guy that plays Constantine on the DC show, or on the Arrowverse shows, and was in the Constantine show, then I'm fine with that, because he's just fucking fantastic.
Exactly. The comic did run for 75 issues from between 88 and 96, so it did run for quite a while. See, in the Netflix series, we see 2 incarnations of her, the modern-day Joanna, a talented necromancer and an occult adventuress for hire, and her 18th century relative who approached Dream hoping for the gift of immortality. Every time she's referred to by name, Constantine is pronounced with the last syllable rhyming with time. For many fans, this has reopened the debate about which pronunciation is correct, Constantine or Constantine. But the debate has been settled in DC comic book canon for decades. In October of 21, Gaiman himself tweeted about the pronunciation, writing in the comics he pronounced it Constantine, and people who pronounced it Constantine either did it through ignorance or to tease him, like Mad Hetty. On TV and films, it's the other way around. So in the comics, he's supposed to be Constantine. In the movies and TV shows, he's been Constantine. So
I didn't know that.
And that's true. It was Constantine on his show and on the Arrowverse, John Constantine. That's what they said.
Yeah, it was also in the what you call it? Keanu Reeves movie.
Yeah.
He was
letterer Jim Campbell even jumped in to confirm that Alan Moore pronounced it Constantine, tweeting, "I spoke to Alan Moore about Swamp Thing at a signing back in the midst of history when he did such things, and he absolutely pronounces it Constantine, not Constantine." And Alan Moore is the guy that created the character initially, because Constantine, would have to shift it now. John Constantine showed up originally in Swamp Thing before he was in.
Yep.
So.
But I am looking forward to seeing it. I've heard good things. Now, I know I saw a tweet from Neil Gaiman basically bashing all gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And he said there is no one can be a gatekeeper for this.
Yeah. USA Today also did a review and they didn't like it. They gave it like 1.5 stars out of 4 because it was disjointed. It was all over the place and stuff like that. And I'm like, USA Today is middle America. You know, it's just they don't know they don't know this kind of genre stuff. I think that's not gonna be their thing. So
what you know from funny?
What do you know from funny? Yay. But it's not. It's just it's USA Today. I don't buy the those kind of reviews. So
you don't need that negativity in your life.
I don't need that negativity. No, not at all. Let's see. Superman Kal-El will be returning to back to Metropolis in the comic books. Kal-El has left the planet to go and fight Mongol and to free Warworld, essentially. He found out there were a bunch of Phalosian slaves, which were basically an offshoot of Kryptonians, basically a bunch of Kryptonians that had left the planet to go Phalosians. Phelosi. Phalosians. And he left the planet, left Jonathan, his son Jonathan, as Superman, and was like, watch over the shop for me while I'm out of town, you know. And he is going to be finishing up his adventure with this team of adventurers that he brought with him, a team of superheroes that he brought with him, and will be returning back to Metropolis in November, in a special in November. There are a lot of people that are happy about that because Superman, for as much as Jonathan Kent, his son, has been kind of, people have been liking the character, although there is still a lot of criticism considering that they've written him to be bisexual. He is a popular character. He seems to be doing some pretty cool stuff in the comics. They still having Kal-El back in the saddle and back in Metropolis doing what he's got to do is going to be best. I mean, there's no reason why we can't have 2 Supermen flying around the Earth. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. Superman Kal-El Returns special number 1 goes on sale at the end of November. So we're ways away from that story happening. They're still dealing with the whole idea too that the Justice League is quote unquote dead right now because of the Dark Crisis miniseries that is running through DC right now as well. They are not dead. They have been basically, their energy has been, they've been thrust into their own mini universes. So we'll see how that plays out as well. Henry Cavill's Highlander remake is closer than ever, says director Chad Stahelski.
There can be only one.
The Witcher star enthusiasm for the project is amazing, apparently. Highlander director Chad Stahelski has assured that the reboot, which is set to star The Witcher's Henry Cavill, is still very much in development. In fact, he says it's almost ready to get the ball rolling officially, or the sword swinging, should we say. We're in the process of tweaking right now, he told Collider while promoting his new Netflix movie, Day Shift, which I'm actually looking forward to. I think Day Shift looks like it's really fucking cool. Jamie Foxx playing a vampire hunter in modern day Los Angeles.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh yeah, it's going straight to Netflix, man. It looks fucking fun. It's got Snoop Dogg, Dave Franco is in it. It looks funny. It looks cool.
Dave Franco?
Yeah. James Franco's little brother.
Okay. I hadn't
He's a
heard
star.
him.
He's a star. He's been in a bunch of shit.
Okay.
Anyway,
if there is one person I would trust with redoing the Highlander, though, it'd be Cavill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. Also, to get back into Sandman again, there's been a lot of the stars were talking about the extraordinary sets, filming nightmares in nightclubs, and a different kind of death. Now, people have talked about the casting of the character of Death in the Sandman. They went with a racial shift. She's a young black woman instead of being the pale goth girl that she was depicted in the comics. I think anybody that has a problem with that can suck eggs. What the fuck, man? I mean, it's what's a big fucking deal? We also have Gwendolyn Christie is playing Lucifer. Gwendolyn Christie, made famous in Game of Thrones, so she's playing Lucifer instead of going with the actor who plays Lucifer on the TV show. Now they did say that character was supposed to be a direct, taken directly from the Sandman mythos. They just never kind of really fully dealt with it. But my friend Shadow was saying that Gwendolyn Christie was absolutely fantastic as Lucifer. And Shadow also said that this actress playing Death was absolutely fantastic. Incredible. Just incredible. I can't read all of this, but they're just saying some really, really fun stuff again to just reiterate that Sandman is the shiznit.
I'm looking forward to that.
We also have the movie Prey released earlier this week.
I almost watched that this weekend.
It's on Hulu. Been released on Hulu. Now it is a Predator movie, but it is depicting the first time apparently the Predators came to Earth over 300 years ago. It's also
until they decide they want to go farther back in time.
Sure. It is also depicting, I believe it's the first movie to be also released with a Cherokee subtitle not subtitles, but dubbing. What was it, Sta? Comanche, excuse me, not Cherokee, but Comanche. Thank you. Stella sent me a link about it earlier. But they're saying it is also the first Predator movie to be receiving critical acclaim, that it is absolutely fantastic. My housemate John watched it the other day too. He said it is just incredibly well done. They don't waste time with a lot of heady dialogue. They're saying just incredible things about it. Now, I've never been a big Predator guy, I don't own the Predator movies. I think I do have the first Aliens versus Predator, so I thought that was a pretty cool concept. But this movie I'm definitely in for. I'm hearing so many awesome stuff. Yeah, Prey is officially the Predator franchise's most critically acclaimed film.
Mm-hmm. I've heard nothing but good things.
Dan Trachtenberg's new film Prey is officially the most critical. According to ranking from Rotten Tomatoes, which takes into account each of the film's critical ratings, Prey comes out on top with a score of 92% fresh. Behind it is John McTiernan's 87 film Predator, which stars Schwarzenegger at 80%, followed by Predators at 65%, The Predator at 33%, Predator 2 at 32%, and Aliens vs. Predator at 22%, and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem coming in last with a very rotten score of 12%. Now, I saw the most recent Predator movie. I think it was called Predators, and it was not great. It was disappointing, to say the least. I haven't
seen a Predator movie since 2.
Really? I liked 2. I thought it was all right.
I like too, but after that, I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't need all these other ones.
So, needless to say, Prey is definitely something that you're going to want to put on your watch list. It looks like it's.
See you, Dutch. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thanks, Dutchy. I'll talk to you later, babe.
Two wasn't so bad. Two introduced the whole connection between them and the xenomorphs.
Yeah, it was just in a casual background thing. Yep. Dude just having a xenomorph skull in the background. It was much more of a world builder.
And people went crazy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was much more of a world builder, though. That was the thing about Predator 2. It took years. It took years before they finally were able to make, and they finally did make AVP.
Yep.
It had to have been 10 years at least.
Oh, yeah.
So guys, watch the Orville. Everybody watch the Orville. Watch the Orville.
Yeah, I've still only seen the first two episodes.
You should watch it. Watch the Orville. Watch it on Disney Plus. Watch it on Hulu. Particularly watch it on Disney Plus when it goes to Disney Plus. I think tomorrow.
I'm saying in a couple days, yeah.
Unless it's not already on there, because it is moving to Disney Plus as well. They said that whether we have a season 4 will depend on how much it gets watched and what the overall numbers are in the end. Seth MacFarlane himself has stated that moving to Disney Plus is what could potentially
be the
tipping point. It is. Oh, is it tomorrow? Okay. Yeah, in the 10th then. It is the tipping point from what I understand. It's a well-reviewed show. It gets incredible reviews. But they're still kind of worried because it jumped around a lot.
Yeah, well,
whatever.
I don't understand the reasoning for moving it again.
They're not moving it. They're just additionally it's going to HBO going to Disney Plus. It's going to still be on from what I understand, still going to be on Hulu, but it'll also be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
They moved it from Fox to Hulu for the 3rd season because ultimately they were like, MacFarlane was like, listen, I want to be able to spend time and money on this that you guys don't want to give me.
He wanted to take more than just a year or 8 months to actually work on a season.
Right. It was huge. And then of course, unfortunately, we had the COVID, the COVID pandemic, and that slowed things down. In fact, the majority of this season was still filmed during the pandemic. So they had a lot of stuff during the quarantine, and during a lot of the really tough stuff, or I think it was near the end of the quarantine when they started. So, but it was still all filmed during the pandemic, and they were using a lot of quarantine, policy and everything to get it squared away. And it turned out fantastic. It is some of the best science fiction television I've ever seen, let alone some of the best TV I've ever seen. It's just spectacularly good. Each episode is damn near a small movie. The majority of them are longer than an hour. The first couple ones are about.
That's why I've only watched the first 2 because the next several are like over an hour long, and I'm over like, an hour. I need to dedicate that time, and a lot of times I don't have that much.
The last 3, I think, are at least an hour and 20 minutes.
That's what I heard. I heard they're like an hour and a half for some of them too.
I don't know. I don't think they quite hit the 90-minute mark, but they were definitely well over an hour. So, but they're so worth it. They're so good. So guys, whatever you can do, tell your friends, tell everybody, watch the Orville. You're not going to regret it. You're going to love it. Start at the beginning. Watch all 3 seasons. They're just so good.
They're much more realistic, I think, in their portrayal of humans in space,
yes,
than Star Trek is.
Yes, very much so.
Star Trek is very militant. It's very proper, and everyone is proper, and
it's the Orville, I think, is a much more realistic depiction of what humans are going to eventually progress to. I mean, Star Trek, and it is a love letter to Star Trek. It's very similar to Star Trek. But Star Trek is very whitewashed. It's very, whitewashed is a good number, or a good way of saying it. It's a very clean. It's almost the most idealized version. Whereas I think Seth MacFarlane's vision is still idealized, but it's still allots for the fallibility of humanity. We're seeing a lot more of that in the newer Star Treks. where we see humans not being perfect and the Federation not being completely perfect.
Well, for me, it was the whole thing about the cup holders in the very first show where Malloy is asking about cup holders, and then you see him with like what looks like basically a big gulp type of thing that he's drinking out of, and he just sets it down.
Right. Simple things like that. That's the thing. The dialogue is so much more realistic. You know, it's still, the dialogue is very conversational. It's very, I mean, not to say that in Star Trek The Next Generation, they didn't still have conversational topic and stuff like that. But it's just the relationships between these people. These people are friends. They're coworkers, but they're friends too. I mean, they're out on the ship, out in the middle of space and relying on each other. And they're friends. They're a family. If anything, I'd have to say, particularly the bridge crew, it's even more of a family, you know. And it's just it's tonally very, very good. Can't recommend it enough.
Just you open up this jar of pickles for me?
Yeah. Oh, I just want to see more of this fantastic show. It really deserves another season or two. I think Seth MacFarlane really deserves to see this progress and this continue on. It needs to keep moving.
I like the show.
We'll see. Yeah. What else?
I don't know, what else you got?
Okay. So Spelljammer. The big box set is coming out soon. The new Spelljammer for we're gonna get into some D&D nerds, some D&D stuff. The Spelljammer Adventures in Space box set is coming out pretty soon. I think right around the corner.
I think it's the 17th or something like that.
Yeah, our friend Ed Rohn had he pre-ordered it on Amazon. It's actually pretty reasonably priced. So they are releasing. D&D has released a lot more stuff about Spelljammer. Now, what is Spelljammer? A lot of people aren't familiar with it. If you're an old school gamer like Chris and myself, you should at least be mildly familiar with what the concept was, which was outer space fantasy, basically traveling in magical spaceships and adventuring in mystic space. And personally, I felt it was one of the coolest new concepts that D&D had come up with in a long time. And in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was originally released, I didn't get the chance to play it, and I really wanted to. So I know that you don't really have any plans to do it in our current game.
Not in the current game, definitely not.
Yeah, but I would love to eventually get the chance to do it on D&D, on the Dungeons and Dragons podcast. One of the ones that they use celebrities to play in. They are doing a Spelljammer adventure, and it's pretty cool. You got Deborah Ann Woll and Ginny D, and some other kind of D&D oriented celebrities have been playing in that game, and it was actually pretty cool. Brendan Lee Mulligan was the DM of the first couple episodes, actually. I
will get it, and I will look it over, and maybe we'll do that as a second campaign.
Maybe. Or as a one shot or something. We could do some one shots or something like that. But now,
speaking of one shots, I got to talk to Steve about our one shot for Halloween this year.
For sure.
The vampire one shot.
Now, how does Spelljammer integrate in Adventures in Space integrate with existing D&D mythology? What it carries over from the classic version and what it changes? This isn't the Spelljammer we remember. It might even be better. Perkins and Spelljammer go way back, to be precise. He ran a campaign set aboard the Rock of Brawl. It's an asteroid city, basically, or a city built on an asteroid back in the 90s. And so the setting had a special place for Chris Perkins' heart, who's the project lead for this story. It is a slipcase edition, the new book set that's coming out, slipcase edition with 3 books. So that should be really great. The streamlining of Spelljammer lore is another indication this isn't a one and done thing. Either it's been tweaked to blend in with D&D's updated cosmology, namely it's world building. They're building a world around this. It's new features, something more like a system from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So there's going to be some new system stuff. Each solar system in the new Spelljammer is bordered by mist or nebula rather than a physical shell you can bump into. Yes, that could happen back then. That was the thing you and I were talking about, I think, on Tavern Nights. In the original Spelljammer, each
Tavern
of the
Talk.
various Tavern Talk, thank you. Each of the various worlds of Dungeons and Dragons were floating in a crystal, like in a crystal sphere that you could were surrounded by a crystal sphere that floated in a sea of phlogiston, is which they called it. So now it's like you make your way through this mist or nebula, and you can end up in the astral sea, which then will allow you to travel to other D&D worlds. Yeah, it's a in-universe way of moving your character from one campaign setting to another without having to start afresh. This isn't to say that it is common knowledge in universe, though. When I asked Perkins about how the team integrated Spelljammer, okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it does some of the really, really cool stuff that they've got coming up. A lot like new technology, new magic, new spells. They've got new takes on old races, and they've got new races. They've integrated, which one of the things that I thought was cool. They've integrated some of the races that originally were in the Star Frontiers campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The Star Frontiers campaign was Dungeons and Dragons' attempt to make a science fiction based RPG. That never quite took off.
Space D&D.
It was Space D&D.
I played it a lot, actually.
I played it too. I had the box set. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, but it never took off at the time. I think they didn't promote it enough. They didn't work in it enough, and they also didn't create like shit tons of content
for it. Yeah,
like they did for D&D.
They put out one box set and a couple of modules, and that was about it.
And that was about it. So yeah, August 16th, it's coming out. Guys, I want to check this out. I think it's going to be pretty fucking awesome. Magic in space, spell jamming, D&D in space. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it, man. Sounds great.
Adventure to the Barrier Peaks.
Pardon?
I said Adventure to the Barrier Peaks. The S3 module, where you find a spaceship crashed in the Barrier Peaks of Greyhawk.
That's right. I forgot about that. So, that's about all I got, I think.
Hippos in space, yes.
Yeah, the GIF, not the GIF, the GIF.
GIF. Yep.
The hippo people. I mean, like, holy shit, so fucking cool, man. There's more guns. There's more like these big, blunderbusses and shit like that. There's a lot of, and honestly, one of the coolest things I would think about Spelljammer is it allows you to have races from every world working together. You can have Kender working with Drow elves. You can have, Astral elves, which are kind of a thing from Spelljammer, working with, centaurs from the Forgotten Realms. It can be all kinds of cool stuff.
And while they're normally the bad guys, you can still have Githyanki.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Githzerai and the Githyanki are both player races in this world, or in Spelljammer, for sure. You go up against the Illithid. Who doesn't love a good Illithid?
What's funny is with this coming out, the next Loot group, the Loot Studios, the company that I subscribe to for my 3D models, particularly even that one that I had printed out, that's actually from Loot. Their latest thing is basically all Spelljammer stuff.
Right on.
Their Illithids they call Cthulhu folk.
Right.
But they have like a Cthulhu folk pirate in the next set.
They're okay.
I'm like, I can't wait to print that, actually. And
yeah, there's like a class of monster you encounter in Spelljammer called vampirates, and they're just vampire space pirates.
Yeah, vampirates. I saw that. I'm like
that's fucking cool, So I'm really fucking excited. I think it's gonna be great. I will be picking up the slipcover set when I
Yeah, I'm gonna pre-order it.
Or in D&D stuff. I tell you, I bought more D&D shit since 5th edition came out than I've ever bought D&D stuff before. Like even back in 1st and 2nd and 3rd edition, I didn't really have a whole lot because my best friend had it all. I and he's the guy that I gamed with most of the time. And I just couldn't afford $20, $30, $40 hardcovers all the time. Because I mean, they were expensive even back in the day. So when 3rd edition came out, I ended up buying some 2nd edition books at thrift stores, just kind of having them. And when 3rd edition came out, I did buy a 3rd edition player's handbook because I was gaming and I was like, I'm going to need one. I didn't get a 3.5 because I'm like, fuck that. And but then when 4th edition came, I think I bought a couple other various 3rd edition books, but not a whole lot of them. And then because my comic collecting and everything else, I just couldn't afford everything. And then when 4th edition came out, I'm like, fuck that. Particularly, I was just mad. And I did buy Pathfinder because Pathfinder was a good system, and I was playing Pathfinder. So I bought a bunch of Pathfinder books. Then I got into D&D 5th edition, and I have probably at least 10 hardcovers, I think.
I've still got all my box sets from 2nd edition that I still use, like the From the Ashes for the World of Greyhawk and the Greyhawk City box set,
Right.
which I actually wound up rebuying, because my original set disappeared at one point, and I'm so pissed. But and most of the maps in there are actually reproductions of the original maps. So, but at least I have the books and I have some of those maps, and I can find a lot of them online. I have actually started working on World Anvil.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah.
On Tavern Nights, you mentioned it.
So I've started playing around with it. I've started creating the Tavern Nights world in there. Eventually, I will give you guys access. I'll send you guys invites. I think I sent one to Renee just so she could check it out. But it'll be places where you guys can create your characters on there, and people will be able to come and actually, like fans of the show, we can give them limited access as well, where they can actually come in and see them. Oh, hey, Wicked Kender.
Wicked Kender.
Hey,
is Wicked Kender new or?
It's first time chatter.
First time chatter. Hey, Wicked Kender. Thanks for joining us, man. You are coming in at the end of the show, unfortunately. Hopefully, you caught enough. The show will be put up.
VOD will be on right after the show, I think, or
right after the show
tomorrow at least.
If you wanna go back and watch it again. I always loved the Kenders, man. I thought that was. I'm a huge Dragonlance fan. Dragonlance was my jam back in that was the novels I read. I didn't read a whole lot of the Forgotten Realms until later. But I was a big fan.
Just wandering and saw the nerds and clicked. You're welcome. You're welcome here. We talk a bunch of nerd shit every Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern. So
yep.
Come on back. Go ahead and just follow us if you can, and you'll get notifications when we go live.
Yeah.
We also play D&D every other Friday. Not this Friday, but we'll be back next Friday. So
right. Tavern Nights.
Tavern Nights. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. But we should probably wrap things up. I mean, I'm about done. Are you done?
Yeah, we can be done. We've done 2 hours the last couple of weeks, so Hey, thanks a lot for following.
Hey, cool. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. We've been going long a lot lately, so it wouldn't be bad to end a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah, and we drink alcohol. That's thanks, CD.
Thank you for the reminder. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight on this wonderful Tuesday night here in Detroit. You guys, you can find us in all the places you can find quality podcasting. Generally, we're quality. We are on the Google Play Store. We're on iTunes. We're Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, radio.com, all the places. We're on the Odyssey app. Just check us out. Put Drinking Nerds or Nerds with Alcohol and you'll probably find us. You guys, you can also download and stream all the episodes at nerdswithalcoholshow.com.
Yeah, and you're right, CD. That's our hook. We drink alcohol.
We don't get drunk.
We get awesome.
But But we get awesome, yeah.
But yeah, you can find us on most of the social medias. We're on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We're on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds, and we are on YouTube Drinking Nerds as well, where a lot of these episodes go after. Eventually, they'll get up there. I am trying to catch up. I'll be trying to catch up this week because I don't have stuff going on in the evenings. So
CD was, why do you think I found this one on podcast?
Well, we're super happy you did, CD. You are definitely our number one fan. But yeah, I think that's gonna about do it for tonight.
I think that should do it.
I think until next time.
Until next time.
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
That wasn't too bad.
That was all right.
All right.
A little subdued.
Yeah. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, night.